of being complicit in President Trump's agenda.
If you're as passionate about police as we are, then pass bills out of this body that will help the police officers in Washington, that will help the police officers in Illinois, that will help the police officers in New Jersey.
Booker made the remarks on the Senate floor Tuesday when he objected to a bipartisan motion to pass a package funding law enforcement and said he wanted to change the bills to make sure the funds are equally distributed. The Senate is confirming President Trump's pick to head the CDC. Tuesday, lawmakers voted 51-47 along party lines to confirm Susan Monterez as the agency's new director. And Ralph Lauren is teaming up with Morehouse and Spelman for a limited edition collection. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Cowell Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicsschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans.
We are halfway through the week.
Hump day.
And we are also halfway through the week of Step Up for Actions forums. They're going to take place all week. One took place last night, and we'll get into all of the things as it relates to the forum that took place, which was the Sheriff Forum. It was one of the most anticipated forums of the lineup, and it took place on last night. We'll get into all of those things. Will absolutely give you an update to a story we briefly mentioned yesterday as it relates to the alleged sexual assault of children by Josh Kegler. Will mentioned that there was a second victim. We have more information as it relates there. So it'll be quite the show. We have a lot to talk about. At the 8 o'clock hour, we'll hear from Molly Kimball, the Director of Lifestyle Nutrition and Director Eat Fit, packing nutritious, budget-friendly, and kid-approved lunches. I think some of that stuff sounds like, is not important to talk about, but it is important to talk about, especially when you're thinking about all of these massive federal cuts, especially when you're thinking about how expensive groceries are. So, I went and got some ground meat the other day. Oh, my goodness. Ground meat so high, whatever you cook it, if you don't eat it, you better freeze it. It's high. Your wife might pick up the ground meat because you don't look too starved.
No.
High.
I pick up some of the meat some of the time.
You think so? You've been to get the ground meat lately?
I've been in the stove.
Oh, my God.
I've made groceries.
Ground meat so high, you might want to just toast the bread and put some butter on it and eat it like that because ground meat is high, my goodness.
Well, you're right, because you know what it does?
What?
It makes you eat more fat because you don't want to get the lean because it's like, dang,
it's like
which is what I really like. I do like some fat in my meat, but I don't really want to go to 50% fat.
You want to go the lean way? Well, it's high. It's high out there, so it's much to do. So that's what I was talking about. Talking to Molly will be important because how do you get these meals prepared so that they're balanced and that they're cost efficient? So that would be my first answer. I don't have my kid in my house at this moment because he's a collegiate student, but when he was there, it's hard to feed him even when he's there for a small amount of time because he can eat. And it is expensive. So, Molly's going to bring the tips with that. I want to talk about, because it's always good to talk about some friendly stuff. But the Jace Lee Scott Foundation is having their second annual Back to School giveaway August the 6th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Hunters Field. 1401 St. Bernard Avenue is the drop-off location. That is the second annual Back to School event put on by the Jace Lee Scott Foundation. There are a number of sponsors, but you can also, if you cannot make it there to drop things off, you can absolutely use their Venmo. The Jace Lee Foundation is also at Loves Horn 7, LOVESHORN 7 on social media. And as I stated, there are a number of organizations who are affiliated with this foundation. Not Another Child Outreach, Stop the Violence, the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, Building Bridges Coalition, and the Office of the Independent Police Monitor, as well as Inner City Brews and Bistro. And so the We Are One advocacy group is also listed here. It sounds like it is well supported. And so if you are interested in participating, that is taking place on August 6th at 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Hunters Field, 1401 St. Bernard Avenue, the Jace Lee Scott second annual Back to School giveaway.
And there's one tonight.
There's one tonight?
A
Back to School
in the
giveaway?
East.
Oh, tell me about it.
Franklin Avenue has a back-to-school rally, and the food trucks, so not free food, but the food trucks will be available at 4:30. And there's going to be a pre-rally, and then the rally is going to be at 6:30 to 7:30, and giving away backpacks full of supplies. No registration. Show up with your kids for the school supplies.
So kids must be
get
present.
the school supplies.
Kids must be present to receive, because that's the only reason why they're
Right.
saying bring your kids. And I think it also helps to make certain that there's enough to go around. But I also want to give a shout out to Belden Noonan Man Baptiste and Alonzo Knox. If you know anything about me, I love Back of Town, and I love the sweet potato pie from Back of Town.
I have to stay away from that.
Let me tell you something, Will Sutton. Belden has been hearing me talk about that sweet potato pie for months at this point. And Belden saved Alonzo Knox is behind because I was ready to squabble because I had been waiting on my pie for months. And so when I showed up to the sheriff's forum last night, Noonan had a big bag, and he was like, somebody told me to give this to you. I said, is that my pie? Oh, baby, that just made my day. Whatever mood I was in a better one once I got my pie. And I warmed it up when I got home, and I ate it. So shout out to Alonzo.
How many pieces did you eat?
It's just a personal pie. It wasn't like a huge.
Okay.
So when you ask me how many
Was it
pieces,
good?
I ate all of it.
You didn't save half for later?
No, indeed. That's not the kind of pie you can save half for nothing. No, I did not. And I'm not ashamed. I ate it. I ate it. I warmed it up.
You make up for it.
I ate it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one
Molly's
of my
gonna help
favorite
you make
people
up for
on
it.
the phone when I was eating it, so that made it better. You know what I mean? So, I love when
It's delicious.
When I have inside information that nobody else has, because I know they like, who she was talking to? Mind your business. That's all. Just mind your business.
Yep.
But
boy.
I had a good time moderating the forum, as I've done with all of the forums. And tonight is Council District E's forum at the TEP Center.
Yep.
The doors open at 5. It starts at 5:30. Oh, yeah, I neglected to say Representative Alonzo Knox. We got to put some respect on their names when we're talking about them on the airwaves. But I was talking about him in the capacity of my pie, so I only called him Alonzo Knox. So I'm sorry, Mr. State Rep. I'm talking about State Rep Alonzo Knox. Yes. And so if you want to feel the euphoria I feel, go get you a sweet potato pie from Back of Town, because they are so good. And shout out to Belden Baptiste, because he's running for office as well. So we're going to call him Mr. Belden Baptiste in his official capacity as the candidate for Council District D. But he will always be Noonan Man to me. So shout out to him for bringing me my sweet potato pie. But tonight is...
That's a good delivery.
It was. Tonight is City Council District E. And I believe that's going to be a well-attended one as well. I think
it should be.
I think there are a lot of folk who are interested in understanding the plans for New Orleans East. And though I only moderate the events, I always have questions in the back of my brain and ways I want to push the conversation, but that's not my job in that moment. My job is to deliver the questions as they were written and to make certain that everyone has equitable time on the microphone and there's decorum in the room. That's my job. I if I was in the audience, maybe I will write some questions, but I'm not. I'm moderating the event, and I hope that it is as well attended as the East represents in terms of voter turnout. So I'm looking forward to moderating this one as I've done all the other ones, but I do believe that this one will bring folk out because it's a large area, and they're chronic voters. I do not believe, and I've said it before, I do not believe anybody can be successful in a citywide race without paying attention to New Orleans East. And so I'm looking forward to it, and that's a big field as well of candidates.
It is.
So that one is just as big as what was that, the mayoral candidates?
Yep.
There were a number of them in that race, and so Council District E will undoubtedly bring the people out, and so that forum is taking place tonight. Doors open at 5. The forum starts at 5:30. Refreshments will be served. I will serve as your moderator, and that is taking place at the TEP Center. So hopefully, if you can be in the building, we look forward to seeing you. But they also stream it so that you can
look at it later on the StepUp Facebook page.
Yes, if you are unable to make it in person. And so I don't know. Are you going to be there tonight?
I am juggling 4 things, so I'm going to try to get to some of that, and I might even just stay for the whole thing. But I mean, I want to get to all of these, but I am tuning in to see what they put on the Facebook pages, because it's good to even if I don't ask the question, it's good to see what the question is and how they respond.
Well,
and just to use an example we were talking about off air, so Joey Craney reported on that last night, so that's on NOLA.com today.
So we get ready to talk about.
Yeah, so you have a report on it, and you have limited space and you have limited time. So you can get kind of a summary through his eyes in time. But when you look at it yourself, you say, oh, well, I didn't know so-and-so said this, or they responded like this. You might like how somebody acts, or you might not like how somebody acts. And that's what I like about looking at the video.
Well, yeah, and also, too, that when you look at it, you also bring your lived experiences into how you process it, because it's one thing to read about something. It's another thing to have lived through the events yourself. You've seen it in real time, what's been going on. And so it's different from a New Orleanian watching it and somebody in Houston looking at it, because they don't have the full context of what's going on. And we have a lot of New Orleanians in Houston. We have a lot of New Orleanians in D.C. They're all over the place. So people are tuning in from all over because even though they live elsewhere, this is their home. And people still care about it. And so 4 candidates challenging Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson for her job took aim at the incumbent Tuesday night for the troubled jail she runs, including criticism of her budget practice and the security breaches that led to the escape of 10 inmates in May. All of that, in my opinion, is fair game. If you are vying for a position and all of these critical issues are taking place, I'm certain that the incumbent knew that these were going to be shots that were going to be thrown at her. So it's fair game. One of the things that Susan Hudson, our current sheriff, said that stuck out, and I'm not certain if it's going to be mentioned in this snapshot of the forum, but she made a point of saying she's the only person on the panel that truly understands what the role of sheriff is. And I think that was her way to fire back at a lot of the things that were being said about her quote-unquote incompetence, because one of the strongest statements that was made last night toward her came from Bob Murray, and he said something to the effect of, this is the most incompetent administration of his lifetime, is something to that effect. Don't quote me. I'm trying to remember off my brain what he said, but he said something to that effect. And so a lot of things were said in the forum. We knew it would be a testy one, and it was, but it was still, in my opinion, tamed in terms of what I believe some folk expected it to be. And so it says Hudson, embattled by a string of controversies that also includes her office mistaken release of a felony defendant last week, defended her term in office in the racist first forum. She pointed to raises in deputy pay. She has shepherded and held her ground during debate over rehabilitation programs for detainees, noting she added job training for detainees and other education programs. And she also highlighted the fact that most of those things are required by law. So it's not like she's creating something because that's what she wants. She's also doing it in alignment with what the law calls for. That's one of the things that she said.
So whoever's sheriff, these things must be done.
If it's the law.
Yes.
Because it was, Mr. Murray had some polarizing things to say. He made the comment of saying that the prison, he called it a prison.
It's not.
The sheriff was the sheriff, the current sheriff, and some of the opponents were understandably correcting it to it's a jail.
Mm-hmm.
But he said if he becomes the sheriff, he's going to return it to OPP, which is Orleans Parish Prison. He said his duty is to give them 3 hots and a cot, not education, because they are not Suno or Delgado.
Mm.
And I'm remembering this off the top of my head because it's certain things stuck in my brain.
Okay, I'm just going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all take in the information for what you wish and make your decisions for October 11th. But if somebody doesn't know the difference between a prison and a jail, that's kind of fundamental.
Well, but I think to his point, he's saying he wants it to be more like a prison and less like a jail under his. That's the way I'm hearing it, right?
You were there. I wasn't there.
Under his administration, a 6th sheriff candidate, Republican Ernesto Ernest Lee, was absent from Tuesday's forum. But also...
there was space for him. He just didn't show up.
Oh, there was space for him. All of the candidates were invited. Those are the candidates who showed up. He did not show up. Former Judge Julian Parker, Constable Edwin Shorty, and Interim Superintendent Michelle Woodfork were also on the panel. They also had some things to say directly about the sheriff's leadership and then directly about what they intend to do to deviate from what she's doing to make the jail a more efficient place.
Mm-hmm.
The article says Woodfork has emerged as a top candidate to replace Hudson, holding early leads in polling and fundraising. But on Tuesday night, Woodfork didn't always make clear where she differed from Hudson's policies, even as she criticized the jail's direction. Woodfork holds a 19-point lead over Hudson and a 23-point lead over Shorty, according to a June poll from New Orleans political analyst Ron Fauché. And you know how I feel about political polls, so I'm not even going to go into depth there because, again, political polls are simply snapshots. They're not indicative of what the city of New Orleans is going to do when they come out, but it's a temperature check. It kind of gives you an idea of what folk are thinking in different pockets of the city. I just want to make that clear. One of the things Interim Superintendent Michelle Woodfork said that stuck out in my brain, and I'm telling y'all off the top of my head what I remember. There was a question that was written by an audience member that said something to the effect of, with the jailbreak being so close to election, they found it suspicious and they wanted to know if the candidates believed it was politically motivated.
Mm.
Of course, the incumbent Sheriff Susan Hudson said off the cuff, absolutely. And then she went on to explain why she feels that way. And one of the points she made was that jail is built in such a way that you can't just escape. You have to have help. And that is what she said, not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
She said the facility is built in such a way that you cannot just get out on your own. You have to have some level of assistance from someone inside of the facility. That is what she said. So when it came to Interim Superintendent Michelle Woodfork's opportunity to respond to that particular question, she said something to the effect of, for the sheriff to insinuate or to state, as she has done other times, this is a quote from her, right? As she has done other times, it's ludicrous. She said that has nothing to do with politics. It's more about poor leadership. That is what she said. Constable Edwin Shorty echoed those sentiments in his own way. He said that 10 people escaping doesn't have anything to do with politics. Releasing an inmate and they wasn't supposed to be released has nothing to do with politics. Like, he started to just name the things that he deemed are out of line at the facility, and he said that they didn't have anything to do with being politically motivated. And former Judge Julian Parker had some very strong things to say as well in terms of what he understands should be happening at the facility and what he feels like is not happening at the facility. And so, again, all of the opponents took direct shots at her, but they also answered questions as it relates to what their administration would look like should they earn the voters' endorsements on October 11th. And so there were a number of people there, and I saw a lot of folk who listen to WBOK in the room. So I'm certain that they can call in and give their assessment of what they believe took place at the forum. But from the perspective of just moderating and remembering some of the illuminating things that were said, I'm just sharing it that way. But the article also says that the incumbent Susan Hudson is quoted as saying, "The folks sitting at this table didn't do their homework." That's just common sense there when she was talking about the different things that her opponents were saying about what a sheriff does and what they will do if they're given the opportunity. And her response was, it's clear that they don't really understand the role of the sheriff. And so, listen, I think it was a wonderful opportunity for folk to hear from the candidates. I think it was a wonderful starting point. It gave the candidates an opportunity to check the temperature of the listening audience and then to better prepare for their next sparring match. And so, look, it's the start. And
it seems like something that was a good program for those who were there. And again, I've been tuning in on video for the parts that I missed, or if I missed one. But watching it for yourself, or watching as much of it as you can, and then looking for another opportunity where you can go and participate would be a good thing to do, as opposed to just letting things go by until October 10th or the morning of the 11th. I don't know who to vote for. Well, why don't you? You can't say there haven't been opportunities.
We have to go to break. I see you, Ms. Dupree. I'm going to catch you on the other side. We're going to continue to talk about it. I hope you keep listening. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Happening today, neighbors have a chance to hear from candidates running for the District E City Council seat. 9 candidates qualified for that race. Instead of campaigning for the re-election to District E seat, Councilman Oliver Thomas is running for mayor. The forum will be held at the TEP Center. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the forum gets underway at 5:30. And a reminder, for the October 11th election, the deadline to register to vote in person or by mail is September 10th. The online deadline is September 20th. Early voting is September 27th through October 4th. There are still a lot of questions about what led up to an alleged murder-suicide in Harvey. This happened Monday night on 3rd Avenue. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office says 28-year-old Layman Adams shot his girlfriend, Braisha Pennington, before turning the gun on himself. Neighbors say the couple had only been living in the area for a few months, but in that short period of time, they say JPSO visited the home several times. And state leaders say a major fix is finally coming for problems that have plagued the Office of Motor Vehicles in recent months. New software is reportedly on the way to replace an outdated system that has caused long lines, slow processing, and fraud. The new software is already in place in several other states. It's expected to cost $30 million to implement here in our state. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. NIL, or name, image, and likeness deals, are changing the landscape of college sports. Supporters like that it gives student athletes earning power, but many are worried about the long-term impact it could have. Jaffe Fields is a former college and NFL athlete, and today he works as a talent agent representing both. He says students chasing big money by transferring schools for a new deal could be undermining their future.
These young men have the opportunity to make a decision at the end of every season if they want to stay or if they're going to go, and they do so based upon who's going to compensate them the greatest. And so I don't personally feel like that's the best decision in all cases. I think that at the end of the day, for the majority of these young men, the end goal is still to get the opportunity to play professional football.
Field says the line between a college athlete and a pro athlete are being blurred in ways that might not be good. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
Criminals are escaping at will. The jail locks don't work. Our courtrooms are not secure. Our jail is out of control. We need a tough sheriff who can fix it, like Bob Murray.
You know me. I'm Bob Murray. With your vote, I can fix it. Paid for by the community like Bob Murray? Sure. Number 3 on the ballot.
Hey, have you heard the news? First Pilgrims Baptist Church is now on WBOK 1230 a.m. Tune in every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. to hear Pastor Eugene Mitchell give you the inspiration you need for the week ahead. That's every Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. Only on WBOK 1230 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 a.m.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back, and it is Wednesday, and I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nara, and my co-host, Will Sutton. If you are just joining us, we are recapping the Sheriff Forum that was hosted by Step Up Louisiana, moderated by Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, and it took place at Blessed Trinity Church on Broad. And there's a lot to talk about as it relates to the sheriff's race. What I do appreciate about a forum, it is not a debate. It's a forum. It's your opportunity to present what you plan to do for the office that you're seeking, whether you are the incumbent or a challenger. You're laying out your plan of how to continue to improve the office or what changes you will make to ultimately improve the office that you are seeking. And what I do appreciate as well about a forum is you can memorialize what people's stances are. Mm-hmm. You know, you can hear them say the things and you can take note of it, and then should they earn your vote, you have something to hold them to account for, because this is the platform you ran on. This is what you said you would do in terms of rehabilitation. This is what you said you would do in terms of ensuring that the facility is safer, that the deputies have access to higher education, more wages and things of that nature. So it memorializes their stance, and it gives you ammunition to then go back to them to say, we're going to hold you accountable to the promises you made to the voters when you were running for office. And I don't think we do enough of that. I think we allow people to rock us to sleep with what they're going to do. And then when they get the seat, we forget all of the things that they said, especially when our circumstances aren't changing. And so that is how I tilt my hat to other communities around this city, because some folk just not going for that. They're going to hold their elected officials accountable, and I think we, as a voting populace, we have to do better, especially the people in the East. The East should not be in peril ever. Y'all are holding the city down electorate-wise. Why are you in peril? I don't understand it. I would be, whoever's feet they would be in a fire every day.
Right. Yeah.
Until our circumstances got to the point where we're not making headlines for all the wrong reasons. And also the media has a lot to do with that because of the way they paint the East. Something can happen adjacent to the East, baby, they're going to blame it on the East. It could be miles away from the East. Well, it was 5 miles away from New Orleans East. Call the neighborhood for what it is. Call the area for what it is. We have to stop letting these people play in our face. That's all I'm saying. But the East has a duty to ensure that the East gets what the East wants every single time. Because when it comes down to chronic voting, the East don't miss. The people are voting out there. Do you disagree with that, Will?
No.
Yeah, it's a fact.
No.
If you want to represent the city of New Orleans, you have to represent New Orleans East, and that's just what that is. And tonight, you'll have an opportunity to hear directly from those folk who are vying for your vote to represent New Orleans East. And it is a crowded field of candidates, and so the only way to understand what their plans are is to come out or listen in to what they present to you at these forums. So I'm excited about that. The doors open at 5. The forum starts at 5:30. It is taking place at the TEP Center. I will moderate it. It is hosted by Step Up Louisiana, and food will be served. Some good food, too.
Is it free?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Food and
good
drinks?
Food. Not when you say drinks in New Orleans.
Not alcohol.
When you say drinks in New Orleans, that's a whole different conversation.
Right.
You can have a Coke, a Sprite,
okay.
little water.
Non-alcoholic. A little something wet
little
to
water.
go with your food.
Good morning.
So to your point, moving forward, perhaps people can go to the forum tonight and to others with the idea, based on what you just said,
yes,
to ask a question, get the answer or the answers,
and document it.
And then after they're elected, give them 2 months, 3 months, run the clip.
That's it.
Run the clip.
I don't think we do enough of that, because this is the time where big promises are made. And during the sheriff's forum, the incumbent, Susan Hudson, she said multiple times, I kept my promises. I promise you this is what we're doing. I promise you this is what we're doing. I don't believe we do enough of ensuring that what folks say, because it's all fine and good to say it when you're seeking my vote. But it's a whole different thing to live up to what you said to me once you have my vote. And I think if we start to do that more often, people will stop over-promising and under-delivering, or they will over-promise and they will over-deliver, because they know that the voting populace will hold them accountable. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, we're going to unseat you. And I think we need to do more of that as a collective. Good morning, Ms. Dupree. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Turn it up for me, please. We're great.
Fabulous.
So for the gentleman, and I don't remember whose name, what name you said, that he's only going to provide 3 hots and a cot. That the jail is not Suno or Delgado. I want to know if he understands what recidivism is and why people keep going back to jail, and is that his goal? Does he have some private stock in the prison system that he wants to keep having them back? Because education, reading, all of those things impact why we keep having people commit certain crimes. Because, I mean, everybody's not a murderer. Everybody is not committing huge felonies that are not out of taking care of themselves. And so that was wild for him to say, I'm not Delgado or Suno. I mean, do you want them to keep coming back? Because the time on their sentence is going to expire. Do we want them back?
Well, I think it's also I think it's also imperative to note that a large majority of the folk have not been sentenced to anything. That is a place where you go. Some of them haven't even been in forward facing with a judge yet. That's not a prison; it's a jail. And so I think it's important to note that not everybody has a conviction when they're in that facility, and when they are convicted, that's not the place. More often than not, that they stay, they get transported
on their way to someplace
other
else.
Places, and so I think it's important to note that as well. But I mean, I was just reporting what he said. That's what he said. at the
No,
forum.
I think that's really telling, because in all honesty, no, I'm not looking for people who committed crimes to go on a holiday and a vacation or anything. But if you are in that predicament because you lack the skills, while you have been sat down until you make it to your other place, why not get you a skill so we don't have to see you again?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for calling in.
All
and
right.
listen,
Y'all have a
I
good one.
appreciate you. Thank you so much. Listen, I think, and I want folk to call 504-582-9422 because I think varying perspectives are warranted here. Because here's the thing. He's not alone in thinking how he's thinking about that facility. So a lot of folk think, if somebody's, been accused of something or arrested for something and they're in there, that they're automatically this criminal. A lot of people feel like incarcerated folks lose humanity when they go to jail or prison, and it's it's important to understand what people's actual feelings and thoughts are, because it informs how they'll lead. And so that's why I think the forums are important. Folk can tell you what platforms they're going to run on, but when they're faced with specific questions and they have to give specific answers, it gives you a more robust understanding of who they are and what they'll bring to the table in terms of leadership. And one of the things that Interim Superintendent Michelle Woodfork said is, and one of her answers, the very first statement she made was, a safer jail provides for a safer community. And I don't think anybody can disagree with that.
Right.
We want the facility to be safe, but I don't think by and large people understand that safety comes with opportunities. It comes with access to education and rehabilitation to ensure that if they go back on the street, that they don't go back a better criminal than they were when they went in.
And everybody's not a criminal.
Everybody is not a criminal. I'm
they
talking
got
about,
caught up in something,
I'm talking
and they're
about
trying to do the
the
best
way
they can
folk
while they.
think
That's
about
right.
People
That's right.
who are arrested
Exactly.
and incarcerated, that you think because they're there that means they did something so egregious that warrants that sort of vitriol toward them. The sheriff made a point of saying some folk bond is $150 and they just don't have it.
Right.
So they're sitting in there for $150, right? So we just have to be mindful of taking stock of the bigger picture. Now, we're not talking about Angola where folk have life sentences. They're in there for 3-4 murders and 17 carjackings. We're talking about the Orleans Justice Center that Mr. Murray also said he's going to change the name of. He doesn't want it to be called the Orleans Justice Center. He wants it to be called OPP like it used to be, and he's going to bring that back. That's what he said. And so for me, recidivism is important. I heard that word come out of the mouth of the constable. I heard that came out of the mouth of the current sheriff. And most everybody agree that education is important. And then there are ways to ensure that we are delivering on what the law says, but also we're doing our duty to make certain that the facility itself is safe, not just for the inmates per se, but for the workers. There are people who are working in the jail, and for all intents and purposes, they're also inside of that facility with the same people that we are talking about here. And so when we talk about safety, we have to think about the folk who are in there every day trying to keep the facility safe. And everybody on the panel agreed that the place is understaffed. So when we talk about safety, staffing is important, because how do you have safety to the level we need if you don't have enough bodies in the building? And so those are the things that are very, very much important.
So with now that you've had a couple of these forums, what do you think people can do to prepare for tonight, and what could they expect? I realize you don't know who's going to show up until they show up, but they all been invited.
Well, I think
they've all invited.
I think from a viewer standpoint or an audience member standpoint, I think that if you're coming to the Council District E's forum, I will look up the issues that most impact that district. I will look up the things that you want to improve the most on immediately, so that can be a part of that person's first 90 days in office, trying to understand how to remediate some of those things. I think the questions ought to be specific to the area. If you live there, you know what you're dealing with. Write your question and put it on the floor. What I do not do, and I want to be very upfront about this, I do not ask questions that are specific to an individual. If you write a question specific to an individual, if I can't tweak it so that it is asked to everybody, I'm not going to ask it, because this is not an attack on any one individual. This is about finding the best leadership for that district. And so if you don't even have to be a resident of New Orleans East to care about New Orleans East, because I know I'm from Algiers. I know the city can't move without New Orleans East. So if New Orleans East is doing well, Algiers would do well. So if I'm in the audience and I know what impacts Algiers, I'm looking to see if that has the same impact in New Orleans East, and I'm going to cultivate a question that New Orleans East can answer, but I also know that it could actually improve my way of living in Algiers as well. That's what I would do. And so for me, I think folk who are attending, and I try my very best to ask every single question depending on the allotment of time. So if you write a question, I'm gonna put it on the floor. But I implore the people who live in New Orleans East to write the questions germane to what you are seeing in your community that you want to improve, what you feel like could happen better for you. There is no reason why New Orleans East can't have the loudest voice in terms of what this city needs to do to lift it up entirely. If you lift New Orleans East, the whole city of New Orleans wins, because what happens without the East? If the East just decided, Will Sutton, that we just going to tap out and we not going to vote, you think the governor won with 11% of the vote. You understand what I'm saying? So I think we need to do a better job. And I'm being very honest about this in terms of citizenry. We have to do a better job of how we speak about New Orleans East. There are people who make jokes all the time. I see it all over social media about the East. And more often than not, they don't even they don't live in New Orleans East. They don't drive through New Orleans East. They don't do business in New Orleans East. They don't shop in New Orleans East. But they're listening to what the media is saying. They're listening to what other folk are saying. They're listening to the negative connotation, how people talk about the East, and that's what they're running with. But if we as a collective stop feeding into the false narrative will change. And if we hold the media accountable to being better stewards of what they print about New Orleans East, the tone of how we speak about New Orleans East will change. That was the crown jewel. That was the place to live. You know what I'm saying? And it still is for a lot of people who have a real reality about what New Orleans East is. You know, I have a makeup artist, and I go to her faithfully when I have big events, and she's in New Orleans East. I'm there in the morning time. I'm there late. I'm picking up McDonald's for her because that's what she wants. Because that's where I feel like she's one of the best. I'm going to New Orleans East to get my service, right? So for me, I'm from Algiers. The same issues that are happening in New Orleans East, they happen in Algiers. It probably feels like it's a smaller scale because it's a smaller environment. Right. But all of our communities are experiencing something on par with what New Orleans East is dealing with. But why do we speak about New Orleans East as if it's some third world country where you have to duck and dodge, you know, just to be able to participate in the landscape out there? I just think, to me, you ask me a question, I think we need to have questions that are germane to how do we change the narrative around New Orleans East? What are you going to do to push New Orleans East forward? What are you going to do to ensure that New Orleans East gets the credit that it deserves for holding this city up in terms of elections? The voting prowess is in New Orleans East, and that's just a fact. So why is it being neglected by elected officials in such a way that people have this negative connotation about New Orleans East?
So come on out. Tonight. It opens at 5. Free food and non-alcoholic drink.
Coke, Sprite, and water.
And then plenty of good information and opportunity to have your questions asked. Frankly, you don't need to wait there till you write a question. I mean, you can write your question right now.
Yeah.
And because you know what you care about.
Absolutely. Good morning, Miss Alicia. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Doc, I want to thank you for championing New Orleans East. And one of the things that you did bring out is how the media helps spread falsities and the false narrative, the negative narratives of New Orleans East. especially when you talk about crime. But even, I have to say, even people who live in the East frequently pass negative remarks about our own city of New Orleans East, and it's not warranted. It's not truthful. Like when they talk about crime, oh, the business is not coming because of the crime. The most crime is in French Quarter, Downtown Development District, and the CBD. But that's where they're trying to stack all the businesses down there. And when they talk about New Orleans East and crime, they paint the whole area as one. But when there's crime uptown, they'll say that the area, the street, the neighborhood and stuff. But I told some people in the media, let's be fair. If every crime happens across the Industrial Canal, on the east side of the Industrial Canal, you call it New Orleans East crime. So we're going to do the same thing on everything on the west side of the Industrial Canal. That's New Orleans West. And when you look at a map, there's more crime in New Orleans West than there is in New Orleans East. And that is what we need to do, keep fighting against the negative narratives that they keep putting out in the East, where we have over 8 lake communities. We have the airport, we have this, we have that, but they still try to brand us horribly in a negative tone. Thank you for championing New Orleans East. Almost every day you have good things to say about New Orleans East, and I appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Listen, Will, I'm not telling you no word lie. If I could afford, if I had some money, if you got some money, go buy you some property in New Orleans East, because I'm telling you, what I do know is when people, have these conversations and they want to like get you to like disconnect from a community, right, and then you start seeing a certain other demographic buying up things, right, it's because it's strategy, right? They want you to fear your own so they can get it all. If I had some money, that's where I would be investing at. And if you got a little change, invest there, because I'm telling you, it's going to boom in a way that we've never seen. But what I've often saw is it booms after they've made us believe that it's not valuable, and then we take our families and we go build elsewhere, and then they can have a utopia, after they've pushed you out. No. If you got a little change, even and I'm talking to everybody, like, y'all pool your money and get a family property or something that you can rent out and have some income coming in, something, because I do know, I understand how that game is played, and we want to be mindful of us assisting in that game playing, right? I don't know if I don't know if Larry heard me talk about him, but I literally just spoke Larry's name. I said, I haven't heard from Larry. And look, Larry on the phone.
Larry on the phone.
Larry on the phone. Larry, look, I see you. I need you to hold for me for a moment. We have to take a break here, a word from our sponsors, because they are what makes the engine of this station run. But I want y'all to keep listening, because we're going to keep talking right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is a WDSU first warning weather impact day with a heat advisory in effect. Highs reach the mid-90s, but it'll feel more like 110. Limit time outdoors and stay hydrated. Rain chances will stick around for today, increasing by the afternoon and evening. We'll see even more rain as we head into the rest of the week. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
For 35 years, Michelle Woodfork got up every morning and put on a badge to protect and serve our families and community. While on the NOPD, Michelle Woodfork earned a master's degree in criminal justice with a focus on law enforcement and was promoted all the way to chief of police. As chief, she reduced crime and increased recruitment. Michelle Woodfork is a law enforcement expert, and that's exactly what we need in our sheriff's office. As sheriff, Michelle Woodfork will ensure that our jail is safe, secure, and sanitary, that we treat substance abuse and improve mental health services while focusing on re-entry. And as our next sheriff, she will ensure that no one will escape from custody. Our jail needs a proven law enforcement professional, and that's former Chief Michelle Woodfork.
This is Michelle Woodfork. asking for your vote for Orleans Parish Sheriff. Thank you.
Michelle Woodfork for sheriff. Proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sheriff.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026. The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back, and it is Wednesday, and I'm your host, Dr. Shanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders. Do y'all know Nyron? I don't know if y'all get to see Nyron. We need a camera in there on you so the folk who don't know you can see you. Nyron is a young boss. He's young and holding down the Good Morning Show. He also is producing the Front Porch, which is one of my favorite shows. I like the Front Porch. I actually love being on the Front Porch. Shout out to Kimber and Graylin. Yeah, because I don't have to be Dr. White on the Front Porch. I'm just a Shanta, Sandra's daughter on the Front Porch. Yeah. And my co-host Will Sutton is also in the studio. But we have a caller.
I have a request.
We have a caller, but Will has a request.
Mr. Narn?
What's your request?
Our listeners deserve to know more about you.
We gonna tell.
And I'm not gonna do it today, but I'm saying now. Perhaps that could start with a song.
Well, listen. Let me tell you something, Will. Let me tell you something. I give kudos to my super producer every day. So even if they don't know him personally, they know he's the super producer of the Good Morning Show because I say it each and every day.
Yep.
But I think people don't know how young he is, and to be as young as he is in a position that he's in. I mean, that's some, and I guess because he went to St. Og, that matters too. But
2600.
That aside, I think he's a dynamic individual. Being from St. Og is just like a little footnote on what I enjoy about Nyron Sanders. But we have a caller online too. Good morning, Larry. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
How you guys doing today?
Good morning.
Larry.
Good morning. Where you been?
Dr. Wise, one of my favorite people. How have you been? And plus your co-worker is too. So,
all right. Where you been?
I listen to you guys every day. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about the East, it kind of it sticks to me because I've been living in the East for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been back to East when I seen the transition when oil and gas left New Orleans and went to Houston. They had a lot of people back here that was working in the medical field. So they had all these apartments, nice apartments with swimming pools. It was nice. Then a transition came with oil and gas. They had another hospital on Bullard. It closed down. So I think it's one. They had two. So, after they went through the transition of different people coming back here, but New Orleans East was already basically built. I think it's 5 man-made lakes in New Orleans East with people, houses around them. Case in point, they had a club uptown called Erase Racism. I think it was mostly women, about 5 or 6 white women. It had one black woman from the East. She stayed in Lake Forest Estate. So they visit each other's houses. So they never came to the East. So when they got back here, in her house, the back of her house was the lake was on. And she said, just one of the white women was stunned. They didn't know people back here, black people back here, lived like this. So the black woman that had been a part of the club said the woman who made the remark quit. I don't know. She just couldn't figure out how we was living like that, and the East got such a bad reputation. I mean, man, they got some of the most beautiful houses back here. So where did that reputation come from? I'm still, I tell you what I think would happen. We are in a mobile generation, meaning that we got cars, we can go places. Like if I want to go shop, Miss Wise, I'm about 10 minutes from the bridge of Slidell. I don't go shop, but my wife and my daughter does. Go to Slidell and Metairie, which I'd be up in arms about most of the time. Because really, they don't have much shopping like they should have. But I think it's deliberately done. Because they know we in the mobile generation. You can get up and go and shop somewhere, Miss Wise. So the people that control the funds know this. So they ain't really trying to build this place up because we can get in our cars and go shop in Metairie and Slidell. So I think it's deliberately done. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that sound, I do my homework sometimes, Dr. Wise. So, when I look at it from that perspective, I think we have to build our own up. We can depend on other people from other communities to help us. We got to help ourselves. I know they don't have a lot of black people with money, but they got enough. Look, IHOP just closed down. New Orleans Spirit just closed down. They got a bunch of places that need to be done. If you come up with the right ideas and the demographics, we could do well. So the East get a bad rap, and when I hear people say that, that's the people that never been back here and seen all these big, beautiful houses. I thank you guys, and I listen at you every day. You have so much information to give. So, Dr. Wise, that's why I be laying back waiting on you, because everything I think about, you say.
Larry, listen, and I want you to ask, since you're out there in that East, ask Miss Alicia Plummer, did I not just ask about you? I say, where is Larry? I don't feel like I've heard from him lately. I miss talking to him and hear you calling me. So I don't know if she told you what I said or not.
From the ninth ward, they said, bro, you're laying in the gap. Yeah, I'm laying in the gap. So if I see that I think you might be saying something off key, well, guess what, Miss Wise? You rarely say something off key.
And listen, and when I do, I want you to call and check me.
I called you before, hell. I called you before.
You absolutely did. Absolutely. And I want you to continue to do it. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate you.
Thank y'all.
Have a blessed one. Papa Baptiste, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Comment ça va? Either bonjour.
Bonjour. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm a part of all of that. All right, ladies, I'm gonna get straight on to it, and to our very illustrious writer. I know he's we need more people like him that understands writing and how you tell a story.
Are you talking about the Will Sutton?
I'm talking about Mr. Sutton himself.
All right.
But look,
appreciate it.
What I want to do is I'm going to get straight to it. Hypothetically speaking, one brother doing good send the other six brothers $100,000 cash just for the heck of it. And then the other brothers are looking at trying to invest and do something. Then they discover that the houses are being sold right under their noses here in New Orleans and maybe in the East, and there's really no information out there to the general public, or they think, like the guy in that clip said, some black people are wealthy. Some can own land and do stuff. So I also see covert not letting people know that people with just regular incomes, a good job, a good line of credit, that could go buy a couple of houses, with a good bank that loan them the money and believe in their investment and bring it back to the community. You see it all over the country. Some of these big stars are buying apartment buildings. They're buying little complexes and fixing them up and putting them in, making them affordable for people to live in. But here, some of that stuff is so secretive. It's going to certain people, like it's being transferred. In my neighborhood, there's 3 houses that were sold around me that I had no idea they were for sale. Who's selling them? How are they getting them? And then all of a sudden I see the gentrification process. They come in, renovate the house looks new, and then here are these people from Tennessee or Kentucky or somewhere, and they don't look like me. So how can we get information out to our people to let them know that there are available properties and land and stuff? In New Orleans East, oh man, just think of the Baptistas in New Orleans East. One last thing. My daughter had a beautiful house by that lake y'all was talking about, where she could go out in the boat, and we all Baptistas would meet and congregate by her house. But and she worked at New Orleans East Hospital,
okay,
and provider. So the people in Atlanta got wind of that. They gave her a huge bonus. She sold the house, moved to Georgia. Somebody that I tried to say stay here, but stay here is not offering me what they're offering me there. So how do we get stuff and keep our people here with good trainings, good capabilities, medical, financial, construction workers, to help build some of these projects? Shout out to Troy Hendry and Mr. Ross for trying to do something with Jazzland. I'm dropping off somebody if y'all heard the call. And now I'm finished. I'm full of black coffee. I love you guys. I love Dr. Wide. She's got that fire in me lit where I feel I can just talk.
Thank you
and
so
say
much.
what's on my mind.
All right.
I appreciate you, Papa.
It will. So y'all be blessed. Give me some answers on that. Let our people know that, we can get stuff too.
Yeah, we can. I agree.
They're trying to revert everything.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you,
By
Papa.
the way, I
appreciate you.
I talked to John recently, so that's going to be in the paper in the next few weeks.
I'll be reading, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a blessed one. Listen, I agree. I'm with you. I think that it's time for us to recognize our collective strength, right? And that doesn't just go for talking about communities where we can start to invest in. That's around elections as well. We have to recognize our collective strength, and our collective strength rises and falls on what happens in New Orleans East, and that's just a fact. You can feel how you want to feel. You could be from uptown, downtown, Algiers. You could be from whatever ward. You got to put some respect on the East when it comes down to a voting populace. They are chronic voters, and that voting equates to power, or it should. So if you have the power to elect people, you should have the power to make certain that those you elect treat you with the respect you deserve. The East has no business ever being in the conversation that speaks so ill of a community that holds the entire city up. So we just got to be real about ourselves. I'm from Algiers. I love Algiers. I'm a West Bank girl. Absolutely. William J. Fisher project till I die, right? But I understand the crown jewel, and I understand where our collective strength ought to lie. And until we actually realize that, we're going to continue to get the short end of the stick, because folk know they could divide and conquer. Long as they have us fighting amongst each other and trying to get what we could get for our specific area, put our collective strength behind New Orleans East and watch New Orleans do what New Orleans is supposed to do. We got to go to break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Molly Kimball, the director of Lifestyle Nutrition, talking about packing nutritious, budget-friendly, and kid-approved lunches. Now, Molly, I got to ask you something that they better not include no ground meat, because it's too high. We're going to talk about it. Y'all keep listening right here, WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he believes the NFL was the target of a gunman who shot and killed 4 people at a Manhattan office building Monday.
We have reason to believe that he was focused on the NFL agency that was located in the building, and we're going to continue to investigate with our federal partners.
The 27-year-old suspect has a history of mental illness. Formerly incarcerated black men face significant mental challenges after release from prison. Studies show they have higher rates of PTSD, depression, and psychological distress compared to those who have never been behind bars. And Mariah Carey released another single called Sugar Sweet. Her new album, Here for It All, drops September 26th. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Cowell Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
That dances to our intro music. We'll just be sitting there. Nara just be sitting there, and I'm over here like getting my little party on. But that's okay though. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, y'all.
Bring out the
I'm your
funkadelic.
host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nara Sanders.
Nara.
And my co-host, Will Sutton, is also
Good
in
morning
studio
on this
this
hump day.
morning. Right now, we're getting ready to have a conversation with Molly Kimball, the director of Lifestyle Nutrition, and she's the director of EatFit. And EatFit is a nonprofit initiative. They collaborate with chefs to offer nutritious, delicious meals for those who want to eat clean, watch their weight, and manage diabetes, blood pressure, and cholesterol. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show, Miss Kimball.
Good morning. Welcome to. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Good morning.
No, thank you for being here. I want to talk to you because we have a whole bunch of questions to ask you, but the main question that folk want to know is, how do you eat fit? How do you eat right? How do you make certain that the nutrition is there when everything that is good for you is uber expensive?
You know, we were actually doing a project in a grocery store yesterday, and that was a conversation we were having. You know, everything. And it's not just groceries. I mean, it's everything is more expensive. And so you're right. Like the things that we used to think would be a go-to, we're having to reevaluate and see how can we make this. How can we either change this, find an alternative, or in other cases, how do we stretch what we have and make it last a little bit longer? You know, you were joking about ground beef earlier, and ground beef isn't something we would probably, if we're talking kids' lunches, may or may not. But, you know, one of the things we talked about yesterday as we were in the grocery store was taking things like mushrooms and eggplant, saute it down, chop it real small, mix that in with your ground beef. And if you didn't tell someone it's in there, it doesn't have a strong flavor, both of those things, mushrooms and eggplant, but they kind of give that same texture when you chop it small. And that's a way that you can go, you know, cut half your ground beef, make it stretch double the distance in your meals. But stuff like that, and you're adding all the nutritional value of those vegetables. It takes time. It takes the know-how, you know, like it's not something that even one of our fellow dietitians, as we were talking about, she's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's not something that was top of mind for us, but it can be a cost saver, but it also takes that extra step, you know? So it's a trade-off, and it's a lot of, it can be really easy to say, this is too hard, never mind, I don't care, you know? So trying to find ways that it is possible and is doable for us.
Well, for those unfamiliar with you, can you explain what the EatFit program is and how it fits into Ochsner's broader mission for health and wellness?
Yeah, this is something that it's just, I think it's a really cool, so I've been a dietitian 26 years. This summer makes 26 years. And, you know, my entire career is actually, did I hear, ooh?
Oh, that's 26 years. No, that's great.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I know. Yeah, more than half my life, you know, and I started my career. It was Elmwood Fitness Center, which is now Ochsner Fitness Center, and got hired there straight out of school to start that nutrition program. And I was young, I was new, green, still learning a lot as I went. But one of the things that we saw as I was meeting with these clients and these families and really diving deep is when people are they've kind of set their mindset, they want to eat healthy, they are planning their meals, they're going to the grocery store, doing these things that we're talking about. But when they're out living their life, all bets are off. You can't tell from the read on a restaurant menu what's healthy. You go to your festivals or the Superdome and different events. There's all kinds of things there that aren't, either they're not healthy or we don't know how to select which ones are. And so In 2013, we launched Eat Fit, and this is the nonprofit space of Ochsner where we work with restaurants, we work with grocery stores, food trucks, places like the Superdome or the airport, festivals like Jazz Fest. We've got Eat Fit out there on the menu board that we're guiding people to those choices that are the healthy choice when they want it. And I'm always real specific. It's not judgmental. It's not finger wagging. When we say we had Eat Fit at the Superdome, people are like, don't take away my nachos. I'm like, we're not touching your nachos. But if you want to have healthier options, we also have that there. So it's free for those partners. We put that Eat Fit seal there. It makes it easy. We have an app. So it's a free app. You just download, you type in Eat Fit in the App Store, and you can find all the Eat Fit partners near you. You can see photos of the dish. We have nutrition facts of those dishes. One of the things we also have in there that I think as we're talking with parents and people planning their meals, we have a shopping guide. And it's a really cool free resource in that app. It's like, it might be more than 13 pages now, but it's brand specific, everything from Walmart to our local grocery stores and everything in between. So when you say whole grain bread or a lower sodium pasta sauce, it's hard to know when you're at the store which one, but the app also has that. So we launched Eat Fit. It's grown into this. We have the app as your resource. We have about 500 restaurant partners or food service partners, we should say, with Eat Fit on the menu across the state. We have 6 regions with dietitians leading those regions, building those partners, building the partnerships with those local food service spaces.
So with back to school season underway, parents are juggling a lot. What advice do you have for packing nutritious, affordable, and kid-approved lunches?
This, I think, is one of the hardest topics we talk about, y'all. It's so hard. And school lunches could be a default for some people, but school lunches, many of them leave a lot to be desired also, So packing your lunch, it can make it might be cheaper than a school lunch, but it definitely can give you more control over the nutrition. I think the first thing is why does it matter? If we're fueling our kids poorly midday, it's really hard to then ask them to focus at their best and perform at their best in school. And so when we look at what does it mean to give them that nourishment that's going to sustain their energy, their mental performance, their physical performance, what does that look like? It's going to look like making sure we have the nutrients they need. One of the things that's easy to overlook is protein, because protein is probably the thing that takes the most planning. And so we want a source of protein. If possible, if we're going to have a source of a grain, try to have some sort of whole grain or fiber-rich carb. If we can squeeze some color in there from fruits and vegetables, even better. And then I think one of the things too is when you think about what not to have, a lot of the refined, processed, or sugary snacks, that's what kids want to gravitate to. The sweets, the snack packs, the chips. Unfortunately, that's what's going to lift us up quickly, rev them up with that quick energy, and then leave them bottomed out an hour or two later. So I think it's really important to think through, okay, if we do have those things, those little fun things, the treats, the candy, or the chips, limiting that to just one small element of the lunch, and then, okay, how am I going to boost up the nutrition with this? And I mentioned protein being one of the hardest things there to fit in. A big thing is also talking with your kids to understand and involving them in the process. What do they like? What do they want? What are they seeing in their friends' lunches that looks good to them? What are they trading for? And kind of starting there to understand what are they looking for.
So let me ask a question based on what you just said. So generally speaking, we're talking about parents preparing lunches for their kids going to school. But obviously it's a really big difference if you're preparing something for a 6-year-old versus a 10-year-old versus a 17-year-old. So what are your thoughts about preparing for some of the older kids who might have different ideas about what they want to eat?
I'll go to that protein part first for the question. So on the protein, that's the part that would vary on the amount. So for little kids, it might just be 2 ounces. And like a deck of cards that size is about 3 ounces. So it might even be 2 or 3 ounces for a littler kids. It might be 5, 6. If you've got someone who's an athlete, it might be 6, 8 ounces. It doesn't have to be just meat. And I think a lot of times we think stuff like sandwiches or like what someone always thinks of, like a turkey sandwich, ham sandwich, whatever that is. It can be a sandwich, but that can get boring for kids. There can be wraps, there can be corn tortillas, whole wheat tortillas. You can kind of add some different variety in there. One of the things that personally I'm a big fan of is using your leftovers from dinner, and when we can, putting that into lunch the next day. And so, again, it's all going to be in what are your kids interested in and what's appealing to them. But it can be leftovers from dinner for the next day. It might be room temperature. How do they feel about that? Sometimes if they're not big meat eaters, it's going to be finding other alternatives. There's a lot of options, yogurt smoothies that are high protein, 20 grams of protein that you can get. And some of them are shelf stable, some of them aren't, but you can find them again at Walmart, Sam's, Costco will have them. And that can be an option to give you that protein. And it's also probiotics. And even if someone's normally like, but a smoothie, I'm not usually drinking milk, for different reasons, it might upset their stomach. Yogurt can be different because it's probiotics. They've digested that lactose for us. So I find sometimes stuff like that can be something that can give them a really solid protein option if they're not big meat eaters. But, you look at, for some kids, they may say sandwiches or wraps or little tacos with a corn tortilla. Others, they want it to be more like a little snack assembly thing. They've got their protein in this container. They may have a chip here, if you have like a corn chip, that's actually oddly enough a whole grain. So sometimes they may do a little hummus cup, or there's you can make a ranch dip with a Greek yogurt if that's along their taste buds, and then you're sneaking the protein in there, have it with that whole grain corn chip that would give a little bit more fiber in there. Eggs, we were talking about the price of eggs yesterday, but if they like eggs, hard-boiled eggs still in the scope of protein cost is lower. So something like that could be little ways to boost the protein if that's something, again, that your kids are interested in.
So is there potential to expand the eFit model into school cafeterias and after-school programs in the future?
Yes, is the short answer for that. And we are actually in talks with one of our organizations across the greater New Orleans area and outside of it to incorporate Eat Fit options there. So we're still in the conversation about it. So I'm usually not evasive in my answers, but I don't want to say it just now because we haven't officially agreed on what that's going to look like. But we're really excited that if it does go forward, it would be the potential for Eat Fit in about 50 schools. And then we do work with Pigeon. Pigeon does some food service for several different schools across the system, and we work with their dietitian to incorporate Eat Fit options there. But I'd tell you, that is an area where when you look at the budget that the schools have and you look at the cost of food and the healthier food ingredients, I wasn't joking at the beginning of this. This is one of the hardest conversations, is healthy meals that kids are going to eat for school breakfast, and also school lunches that are also going to be within those budget constraints.
Well, Molly, I think what compounds the idea that it's hard is because it's New Orleans. Because on your on your site it says in New Orleans, food is more than nutrition; it's an obsession. Yeah. I feel so attacked. I feel like you're talking about me because 5 minutes after lunch we're talking about dinner. That is me. As soon as I eat, I'm thinking about what I'm gonna eat later. I love food. I mean, I look small to people, but I love food. I love food. And I think for to have this conversation in a city like New Orleans, it almost feels impossible. But I'm looking at a picture of you. You seem to have figured out how to eat and stay fit.
You've been doing something in those 26 years.
What's your secret?
I think when it comes to, this is my philosophy, and it applies with kids also. Sometimes we make food choices, or we talk about food choices out of fear. Don't eat that because it's high sodium and it'll raise your blood pressure. Don't eat that, it's high sugar, it's gonna, cause diabetes down the road. With kids, that doesn't stick with them. What they do now and what might cause blood pressure when they're 65 years old, that's not going to resonate with them. And even with adults, it's hard for us to not do something because of what may happen in the future. Something that I think of often is, what am I eating right now, and how's it going to leave me feeling in 2 hours, 3 hours? So I mentioned that with kids and their lunches. That's us with breakfast. If there's cake in that break room in that kitchen at work, and we're having that at 10 a.m., it's not just, do you know how much sugar is in that cake or calories? It's not about that as much as how's that going to leave you feeling in just a couple of hours from now. And so when we think about right now, how's our energy and our mood? And when we look at a lot of those foods, not only do they leave us bottomed out and crashed, those refined sugars and flours and white starches, those what we call ultra-processed foods, they're linked to anxiety. They're linked to depression. And when we look at what we're eating right now and how it's affecting us right now, to me, that can help us maybe be a little bit more motivated to make that healthier choice in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
And so thinking about that with ourselves and then our kids, it's about how we're feeling right now and how we're living our life now. Those choices are so tied to that. And we all know we eat something and how we feel right after, I feel like I could take a nap, or we feel really energized. And so when you think about that and break that down to choices throughout the day, it's really about living like our strongest life, that we can do those choices right now.
Well, I'm going to try this ground beef thing you suggest with mushrooms and eggplant, because I love mushrooms and eggplant. I never thought about that at all.
Well,
and I want to have my.
I'm gonna let you do it. Tell me how it
I
turned
will
out.
tell you how it turned out, and I'm probably going to try it with both, and I'm probably going to try it with just the eggplant, because I love the eggplant.
Yeah, I like squashes
But
and stuff.
let's take. I know we're going to have to let you go momentarily, but let's take a pretty typical New Orleans thing: red beans Monday.
And you only got
How
about
can
30
I
seconds,
eat
Molly.
fit on red beans Monday?
Red beans are one of your best foods nutritionally. I mean, vitamins, minerals, protein, fiber, the phytonutrients, all the antioxidants in your beans.
So
they
what
are
I'm-
really one of the highest
What she's saying
antioxidant
is keep
foods.
the pork out of it, Will. Don't put no pigtails in there. That's what she's
I
saying.
know. You know what I would say is use it, but a little less, because the amount is going to stretch through. It's going to give you that flavor, but use a little less. And then either, if you can, Will, without rice, you just get all those beans. That's the best. If you put it with cauliflower rice.
That's fighting words, Molly. That's fighting words, Molly. Fighting words. Listen, we
Red
want to
beans
thank
and cauliflower.
we want to thank Molly Kimball. She's a registered dietitian who created the Oshner Eat Fit nonprofit initiative to collaborate with chefs to offer nutritious, delicious meals for those who want to eat clean, watch their weight, and manage diabetes, blood pressure, and cholesterol. Look for the Eat Fit seal on menus at your favorite restaurants, markets, festivals, and beyond. Thank you, Molly, for joining us this morning. We absolutely
you.
appreciate having you.
So
Have a
much.
blessed
Thanks,
one.
y'all.
Have a great day.
Listen, we got to go to break. When we come back, we're going to jump right back into the things you want to talk about. We have some updates and some stories, and we're going to get into it. But shout out to Molly Kimball for putting together a way to eat well and stay fit at the same time. Will's about to put mushrooms and cauliflower rice in his red beans. That's what you about to do?
No.
Now don't come on this station making
I'm
no
gonna
promises.
do mushrooms and eggplant
Okay,
with the ground beef.
mushrooms and eggplant with your ground beef. You can tell me how that turned out.
But you know,
You gonna still
the
eat
red
your
beans.
rice? One step
I'm gonna
at
have
a
to
time.
pull out the cauliflower.
Baby steps. But we gotta go to break. When we come back, we're gonna jump right back into it right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Good Wednesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Happening today, neighbors have a chance to hear from candidates running for the District E City Council seat. 9 candidates qualified for that race. Instead of campaigning for the re-election to District E seat, Councilman Oliver Thomas is running for mayor. The forum will be held at the TEP Center. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the forum gets underway at 5:30. And a reminder, for the October 11th election, the deadline to register to vote in person or by mail is September 10th. The online deadline is September 20th. Early voting is September 27th through October 4th. There are still a lot of questions about what led up to an alleged murder-suicide in Harvey. This happened Monday night on 3rd Avenue. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office says 28-year-old Layman Adams shot his girlfriend, Braisha Pennington, before turning the gun on himself. Neighbors say the couple had only been living in the area for a few months, but in that short period of time, they say JPSO visited the home several times. And state leaders say a major fix is finally coming for problems that have plagued the Office of Motor Vehicles in recent months. New software is reportedly on the way to replace an outdated system that has caused long lines, slow processing, and fraud. The new software is already in place in several other states. It's expected to cost $30 million to implement here in our state. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
For 35 years, Michelle Woodfork got up every morning and put on a badge to protect and serve our families and community. While on the NOPD, Michelle Woodfork earned a master's degree in criminal justice with a focus on law enforcement and was promoted all the way to chief of police. As chief, she reduced crime and increased recruitment. Michelle Woodfork is a law enforcement expert, and that's exactly what we need in our sheriff's office. As sheriff, Michelle Woodfork will ensure that our jail is safe, secure, and sanitary, that we treat substance abuse and improve mental health services while focusing on re-entry. And as our next sheriff, she will ensure that no one will escape from custody. Our jail needs a proven law enforcement professional, and that's former Chief Michelle Woodfork.
This is Michelle Woodfork, asking for your vote for Orleans Parish Sheriff. Thank you.
Michelle Woodfork for sheriff. Proven, prepared, the right choice.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sheriff.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton. Y'all are so funny in the comments. Miss Alicia says, sorry, Doc, I'm putting pigtails in my red beans. I don't eat pork, so I'm not doing that. But listen, I used to when I was younger, but and I know it's a New Orleans staple. But Treese, my friend Treese cooks some of the best red beans I've ever eaten, and she don't have no meat in them at all. Zero.
Some of the best. No meat.
Add your own meat if you want to. But if you get over Mom Treese, they're not going to have no meat in them.
Oh, thanks, Molly Kimball. Molly Kimball just followed me on Instagram.
Oh, she just followed your Instagram.
Okay,
oh,
cool.
you famous, I guess, right?
No. I think she's moving through the list. She'll be looking you up.
Listen. It's always good when folk enjoy their interview so much that they start to follow us on social media, because that's what happens. Most people I interview, they leave the station and they either follow me on social media or they're emailing me. Or they're calling, because my number is public. I probably need to change that, because like everybody just
people need to know how to reach you.
And then when I pick up, they be like, "Oh my God, you answered." I'm like, "It's my phone." It's the funniest thing ever. But I'm telling y'all, let me say this before we jump into all this real news. I have had the time of my life on the airwaves of WBOK. Next month will be 1 year that I have been co-hosting or hosting this show. I started out as Oliver Thomas's guest education expert. I would always come on into an education segment, and then it spawned into when they were looking for a co-host for OT when he was still on the air. I ended up getting the opportunity to co-host with OT, and then that grew into me hosting the show. And I've had the time of my life. I've met some really, really amazing people being on the airwaves of WBOK. And, I count this as one of those things that I've enjoyed doing in my my years of being on this earth. I almost say my age. Well, nobody believes my age anyway. But, I mean, my baby is almost 20, so you could figure it out. Yeah. But I've had a wonderful time here without being on the airwaves of WBOK. I wouldn't even know who Pop Jones is. Right. I wouldn't know Larry. Right. There are some dynamic people who I've met. And Larry will always be one of my my benchmark guest because when I first got on the air, Naira, what Larry told me, you're just so arrogant. And now he's one of his favorite people. So if we had to score me, I think I'm improving on the Larry Richter scale. There's some dynamic individuals who I've met, and I'll have the pleasure of talking about all of that throughout the entire month of August because that's what my plan is. Because it will be my anniversary here on the airwaves of WBOK, and so we're going to talk about like your favorite Dr. Y thing that you've heard or whatever story you felt like that I brought to the airwaves that you enjoy. Whatever you enjoy about me, we gonna talk about it because I'm gonna celebrate me because I don't need nobody else to do it. I'm gonna do it. Huh, Naira? And so I think it's important to celebrate things because there's enough negativity in the world. I'm really not a negative person. Like people think because I talk so seriously about serious issues, I'm a fun girl. Like I like laughing. I like enjoying myself. I'm learning how to play pool. I'm learning how to fish, and I'm learning how to bowl because I'm competitive and I don't like losing. So if you take me fishing, I don't know what I'm doing, but I bet you I'm gonna catch a fish. Like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm learning. And when I'm bowling, I cut my nails because somebody challenged me to bowling. I cut them. My nails grew very, very long, and I cut them because don't call me out.
So you got a 300 coming.
Yeah. Look, I don't even know. Is that good?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I'm learning. And I'm learning how to shoot pool. I think pool is one of the best. And I'm learning how to golf. I'm learning how to golf.
Now
Let me tell you something.
Serious strategy and attention.
When I first went golfing, I hit the ball so far you couldn't tell me nothing. I was excited. I'm learning. I'm learning how to do all of these things because there's a certain demographic of man that be checking for me, and these are the things they like to do with.
Okay, I see where this is going.
I play too much.
If you're fishing, you need to go where the fish are.
I'm just saying.
If you need to go where the fish are.
Go to Home Depot. They all in there looking for hammers and nails. I don't know. I play too much. I really do. I just be joking. Because everybody, if you really know me, you know I'll be inside most of the time. But when I come outside, those are the things. You can't do
those things inside.
But those are the things I'm doing,
those are things that are getting outside.
When I come outside, those are the things I'm doing because I like to be challenged. And so if I don't know how to do it, that's the best way to get my attention is to teach me something. I like learning stuff. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, but don't challenge me to no sport because I'm well versed there. I can hoop. Yes, I can. I can play volleyball. I'm a collegiate volleyball player. Yes, indeed. I'm still fast. I can still, run on the track, but don't ask me to run no long distance because I'm over 40 and it don't work like that no more. Right. But you challenge me to a 40-yard dash or something, you might be in trouble. But you go 100, you might got me because I ain't doing it. I put my son on a case for that one.
Yeah, right.
Y'all see how I'm putting myself out there? This is a whole commercial for Dr. Wyatt right now. I just be playing. But this is the personality that you get to see on the front porch. I don't necessarily bring this personality to the Good Morning Show because we always talk about that heavy, serious stuff. That's why the front porch is like literally one of my favorite things to do. So shout out to Kimber and Graylin because they have a very fun, laid back, you could just talk about the things on there. And so I get to be Shanta Sandra's daughter on the front porch. But when I'm on a Good Morning Show, I'm Dr. Wyatt. But sometimes you get a glimpse into my personality. Absolutely. And you like, oh, she ain't that bad, and I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I'm fun. I wanted to lighten the mood because we about to talk about some really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And there's been an update. Yesterday we mentioned that there was a second child who is alleging that this person, because I don't, this person is a victim of New Orleans choir director Josh Kegler. This child is asserting that he was abused on school grounds. And that to me gives me great pause. That's really why I had to laugh a little bit because Will Sutton, I know you remember when I said on the air, he's worked at other schools. I want to know why he was separated from those different schools. And I meant that because as a school leader, I understand how things are supposed to work. As a teacher, I understand how things are supposed to work. And as a mandated reporter, I understand how things are supposed to work. You don't get to just separate from my school if there's an allegation of child abuse. You just don't. I'm sorry. You don't. And I said it yesterday on the air, and I'm going to say it again. As a parent, we entrust our children to schools. More often than not, children spend more time at their schools with their teachers than they do at their homes with their parents. And if I entrust my child to you, I expect to get my child back, if not the same, better than I sent them. But what I do not expect to get back is a child that has been traumatized in the way of abuse, because that to me is inexcusable. And so there's a statement being put out by one of these institutions, but what I want to know is, why did they separate from him? Because what I said on air was, he is a powerhouse in terms of his craft. You don't just give away a teacher of that magnitude unless something egregious happened, right? So that's where my mind went, because you don't just give up a Josh Kegler unless there's some serious stuff going on. And I asked that. And people don't like the hard questions. They don't like it. They like that easy stuff. But I want to know why you gave him up. And 2 schools did that before he got to the current school, where the mother of the 16-year-old boy found the sexting allegations in the phone. So I want to know why you gave him up. But we're going to go to the article, because it says a well-known New Orleans gospel singer and former choir teacher accused of grooming and raping a teenage boy is facing another sexual abuse accusation in a second case. According to court records, at this time, the attack allegedly occurred on school grounds. Joshua Kegler, who is 38 years of age, is now also facing a count of felony sexual battery in connection with a report involving a 14-year-old boy, according to court records. While many details of the case are sealed, documents filed by the New Orleans Police Department on July 24th show that the incident occurred on November 7, 2019, in the 4000 block of Cadillac Street. See, this, when you want to make my blood move, this is what you do. I'm angry about this. And it angers me because our children are already up against so much. We're already up against so much. And you know what I notice about predators? I noticed that predators always prey on children who don't come from the most stable of home environments, meaning the mama might be working so much that she can't pay attention to what's going on, and the daddy might not be there for whatever reason. My daddy was dead. That's why he wasn't there. But some people's fathers are not there for whatever the reason is. And see, a predator has the wherewithal. They have the understanding. They prey and they look for vulnerability. This is why I give them no pass. I don't give you no pass. When I heard about the Uber ride, I said, okay, wait, well, you know, maybe the child needed a ride. But when I heard that the Uber was going to your house, my first question is, do his mama know he going to your house? That's what I want to know. And then when I heard about the Cash App, I said, okay, well, you know, I know teachers that look out for kids. Cash App don't disturb me. But when I heard the child say that you had him doing push-ups naked with a blindfold on, then the Cash App disturbs me. The Uber ride disturbs me. And see, the difference between me and a lot of people, I don't care nothing about the fact that I know you or I like you or we used to be buddies or whatever. If you violate a child, I got a problem with you. And I mean that with the fullness of my heart, and I don't make no mistakes about it. And I don't mix my words. So if you feel a type of way because I'm talking about your friend, do something about it. Do something about it. Because the last time I checked, y'all ain't saying enough about him, friend. The last time I checked, I don't hear none of y'all talking about the children who he's accused of molesting, friend. And see, you get a different kind of conversation out of me, because you know why? I'm talking about lived experience here. This touches me in a different way because I lived this. I lived being mishandled by adults that I trusted. Right? In that same way. So that's why you get a different kind of vitriol from me. But what I do know is that mama, both of them, the 14-year-old mama and the 16-year-old mama, they're better than the mother of this 19-year-old. Y'all better than me. Because I could promise you I trade my freedom for my boy. And I'm not saying that you did anything wrong. You did the right thing. You did what you're supposed to do. You told the authorities. I'm just telling you, I'd have had a different avenue to the authorities. They would have been handcuffing me because I just know me. I know me. There is no way I could have read those texts and not saw red and wanted blood and wanted vengeance. And I know that's what God said, Ashanta, you don't need vengeance, it's mine. But in that moment, God, I don't know, because the human side of me, my flesh, it was going to take over. And I was going to need you to stop me in my tracks, because if you didn't, I was going to lay him flat. I mean that. Flat. Because this is, to me, the most egregious thing that you could do to children, and they never recover. Listen to me when I say this. I am 43 years old, and you never recover. I don't care what the therapist say. You never recover. You never recover. This is a 14-year-old child and a 16-year-old child that will go the rest of their lives with this scarlet letter on their back. I don't care what nobody talks about. You get all the therapy that man can make, you never recover. You never recover. This is why it sickens me to my stomach, and I knew it. See, I have a little bit of, my head ain't big for nothing, y'all. I could think a little bit. So when I first heard this story, I said, well, he's worked other places. You don't give up a Josh Kegler unless something in the water ain't clean, because he's too great. He's great at what he does in terms of his craft. So you don't just give him up. That's like giving up your best mathematician and you need the math scores to move. You don't just give them up. No, sir, you don't. That's like giving up your best principal. Whoever way you put them, they make progress. Better. You don't just give them up. So my mind said, why did they give them up? And now we got a story that this child has been abused on school campus. Man, get out my face. Get out my face. Because here's the statement, Sandrell Briscoe, a spokesperson for Inspire NOLA, the charter organization that runs McDonald 35, said in a statement that Kegler was employed as a substitute teacher at the high school from August 2019 to May 2020 and has not worked for the network since then. Well, we know that because he got a job. But when he was there and when he was alleged to have abused this child on y'all campuses, I want to see the report. That's what I want to see. I want to see the allegation on paper. Because what you're not about to make me believe is that the child just said something just because the other child said something. Y'all removed them for a reason. Tell me what the reason is. And I have a great deal of respect for the leadership at Inspire NOLA schools. So this ain't personal. This is business. Because I'm about the business of protecting children. I want to know why he left. And I don't think he left on his own accord. Why you got rid of him? That's the question. But that's not the only school he worked at, Will.
Yeah, that's right.
He also worked at Warren Easton. Mm-hmm. I want to know why he left, because I don't see no statement. I don't see no statement. At least Inspire NOLA Charter Schools put out a statement. Where's the statement from the leadership at Warren Easton? I want to know why he left. Because just as we suspected, Will Sutton, when the 16-year-old's mother came forward, we knew that there were going to be more. Because I said he's worked in different places. Why did he leave? I want to know. I just want to know. I want to know.
Right.
I don't care nothing about no friendship. I don't care nothing about no relationship. I don't care nothing about you being his colleague and you ate at his house or you sang in his choir or he gave you an Uber ride or he sent you a cash app. I don't care nothing about it. What I care about is that 16-year-old boy and that 14-year-old boy who are alleging that he touched them inappropriately. That's what I care about. And I want to know how many people knew about it before the news knew about it. I want to know how many people knew about it before it was breaking news on TV. Because, see, it is our duty to protect our children. And when you breach your duty, I don't believe that you should have a right to look after people's children. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you, as a principal, as a teacher, I've worked in every level of education. From Head Start to college, I've worked them all. And I protected those babies with my life. That's just who I am. That's who I am. I have kids who I taught when they were 4. They graduating college and their mama sending me their pictures and talking about the impact I had when they were 4. Because I'm a straight shooter. I've been the same way my whole life. If you put your child in my class, they're going to learn and they're going to be protected. If you put your baby in my school, I'm going to lead them in the way that they should be led. And if a teacher's on my campus that don't love children, she won't be on my campus. Check the record. And if I ever do something to ever breach the trust that you instilled in me, then you hold me accountable. That's the law. That's law. This sickens me. I'm sick by this, Will. I don't know what to say.
I know you are.
That's why I had to. That's why I had to start this with a little bit of laughter because this makes me ill.
As you should be.
This makes me ill. Kids never recover from this. There are people in this world walking around with scars that they don't show nobody and stories they don't tell nobody because they're embarrassed. Because we know in our culture, we don't talk about the things that we don't want the public to know. We pick the rug up and we sweep it under there. I know that hump under that rug getting kind of high. You got to start to tell somebody because you will never heal. You will never be able to heal the scar that you don't want nobody to know about. That's why you have to be careful with people because you don't know what they've been through. Be careful with me because you don't know what I've been through. Don't tell me nothing about my tone because you don't know what I've been through. Don't tell me nothing about my delivery because you don't know what I've been through. And it ain't your business either. Because if you don't care about me, you can't check me. I'm telling you what I know. That's why I lead schools the way I lead them because I've been through some things. That's why I love children the way I do because I've been through some things. Don't judge me. Ask yourself why you ain't saying enough to protect the children of this city. Because I could assure you, this wouldn't have ever happened on my watch and it be kept quiet. Ever. Ever, Will.
So, the one situation was bad enough. We now know of a second. It could be a third, a fourth, a fifth. We don't know. But the New Orleans Police Department Sex Crime Unit wants to hear from you if you definitely know of another situation or if you think there might have been something that happened. That phone number is 504-658-5523. 504-658-5523. 504-658-5523. Or you can call Crime Stoppers at 504-822-1111.
As the host of this show, it's my obligation to tell you that Josh Kegler is innocent until proven guilty. What I'm reacting to is what we know to be true based on what the mother is alleging, based on what the police are alleging. They're alleging that the mother found sexting messages in the phone of her 16-year-old child. That's inexcusable. That's what I'm reacting to. I'm reacting to the 14-year-old boy who is alleging sexual misconduct by Josh Kegler. What I'm reacting to is the fact that he's worked at 2 other schools and we heard nothing about this until it came out this time. And now all of a sudden we got a statement for one of the schools, but we don't know what the other school is saying. But what I'm going to ask all of the leaders of both of those institutions, why did y'all let him go? Because as a leader, I know I'm not giving up my best unless something egregious has happened. And when it comes to what he does, he's counted amongst the best. So you don't just give him up unless he left your institution for better pay somewhere. Somebody gonna have to tell me. I want to know. So the next conversation I want to have is with the leadership of Inspire NOLA because I have questions. The next conversation I want to have is with the leadership of Warren Easton because I want to know. And if you don't call me, I'm gonna call you. We have to go to break, but when we come back, we're gonna keep talking about it. I hope you keep listening. Yeah, I'm mad. Because it is our duty to protect our children. And when that duty is breached, everybody ought to be held accountable. Y'all stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is a WDSU first warning weather impact day with a heat advisory in effect. Highs reach the mid-90s, but it'll feel more like 110. Limit time outdoors and stay hydrated. Rain chances will stick around for today, increasing by the afternoon and evening. We'll see even more rain as we head into the rest of the week. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
New Orleans never sleeps, and neither does WBOK. Now, every voice, every moment, and every show is in your pocket. Search WBOK Media wherever you get podcasts. Download, share, rate us 5 stars. Because when you support us, you amplify Black voices and the New Orleans culture.
Feeling stuck in your job? Dreaming of something more? It only takes one step to change everything. With the Urban League of Louisiana Skill Up Louisiana, you can train for high-paying careers in wind, solar, hydrogen energy, automotive, cybersecurity, AI, and more. This isn't a job, it's your future. A new career starts with one step. Your future is waiting. Visit urbanleaguela.org/apprenticeships to learn more and apply today.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 12:30 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Shout out to my niece holding the boards down, baby. She doing it like she the pro. Now I better watch out. Now I better watch out. My niece coming for answers. You heard me?
I brought her here so that you said yesterday she do it on the front porch, but she don't show us no love.
Yeah,
so that's why I brought her here early.
You see when you call
on
out
this
show
board
up, because I did call out. I said all she won't do is produce for the front porch. She don't never show no love to the Good Morning Show. Hey, niece. Hey. Look, I needed that distraction of laughing a little bit, because off air, like I'm broken by this, because this to me is the most egregious thing that can happen in terms of what our duties are in the protection of our children. And when I first started talking about this story, I talked about how people who I have relationships with, whether we're colleagues in the work, whether we're acquaintances, whether we're friends, I'm watching what they're posting and what they're saying, and I'm also paying attention to what they're not saying. Because, yeah, we could pray. Oh, yeah, we could pray. Yeah, we could pray. But just because you pray does not mean that you don't have accountability and atonement for the things that are done. I think, what I love most about myself, I don't know what you love about yourself, but what I love most about myself, I can stand to be corrected. It actually helps me grow. You think I'm alive while you're not. I was literally off the chain. And it was nothing but God's grace that put me in my place, because I was a detriment to myself. Because when I was angry, all I saw was rage. All I saw was vengeance. All I saw was I want my lick back. And God showed me that ain't nobody better to swing for you than him. And so that's what I've been allowing God to do. And sometimes I be wanting to say, look, I understand you want me to be on my Michelle Obama. When they go low, you go high, God. I know you be wanting me to do that. But sometimes people don't understand, and they don't feel they don't respect your mind until you teach them that you know what the gutter look like. You know what the gutter feel like, because you've been there before too. If you won't go wallow in the gutter, come on, let's go do this. And God said that ain't for you to do. I'm going to do it. Yeah, and I've been letting him fight my battles ever since. So when y'all want to understand why I move a little different, because I gave it all to God. That's what I did. But see this right here? Y'all trying to test my transformation. Y'all trying to test my gangster with this one, because I'm gonna tell you again, I don't care who you are. I don't care how deep we are in friendship. I don't care how much love I have for you. If you move like this, I'm going to move you away from me. And that's a fact. And if I ever step out of line that don't align with my morals and my values and my character, I want you to correct me. If you love me, that's what you will do. Only a very few people know me. All the rest of y'all know of me. But people who know me know that I mean everything that I'm saying. Everything that I'm saying. I was raised by some of the best women man could make. And I ain't talking about nothing that's affiliated with no degrees or no credentials or none of that. I'm talking about character, heart, integrity. My aunties, all of them, I take something from all of them, and my mama included. But the head honcho was my grandmother, Rosa B. Wyatt. Ask the congressman about her. He knows. She in heaven. But I don't make no moves that would dishonor the legacy of my grandmother, because if I do, somebody gonna check me. And that's what y'all need. Y'all need some checkers in y'all life. Y'all need some people that's gonna check y'all, because it seems to me by the conversations that I'm hearing, some of y'all think this is okay. Some of y'all think what the parish president in Jefferson said is not pressing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of y'all think this is not pressing. But I live my whole life in service to children. So for me, I feel like you coming for me when you come for kids, because I live my life in protection of them. And if you know my story, then you understand why. I made a post recently, Will Sutton, on my page, and I posted Terry Jordan. She was my Nord coach when I was 5, right? But she taught me everything that I know from the beginning of sports. Everything that I first learned about sports, I learned it from Terry Jordan.
Fundamentals.
Come on now. That's where I learned it from.
Foundation.
That's why I will always pay homage to her. And she was one of the finest things to come out the Fisher Project. All the men know all she wore was biker shorts and crew socks. She ain't never put no real clothes on. But when you that fine, what's clothes, Will Sutton?
Yeah.
Because God knew better than to make me fine like that. He made me smart. Because if he'd have made me smart and fine, baby, they'd have had a time on the end. I like to joke because, baby, it gets serious up in here. Good morning, West Bank. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. I love your passion this morning, and I feel it to the bottom of my heart. I'm a pharmacist. I'm over on the North Shore filling these prescriptions. I've got men in their 30s and 40s so messed up, taking 5 and 6 different drugs because of what the Jesuit priest did to them in certain locations in New Orleans. And they trust me enough to share their heart with me of what was done. And I get to see the damage on the other side. So I feel your passion. And trust me, people know. Everybody in those schools know what's going on. Those other little boys probably told the other teachers. Nothing like that could be kept secret. And if you see a child getting dropped off at a single man's house, it looks funny. I got friends who are single men. They don't let no young men or no children in their house just because they're single and they don't want the appearance. The bus stop was in front of my best friend's house, and he said a lot of times the boys be drawing the football. Mr. Darrell, can we use your restroom? He said, unfortunately not, because he didn't want the appearance. And he's one of the best, most high-character guys you ever meet, but he was 25 and single and had enough sense not to let a little boy in his house because of the appearance. But I just want to say that we got some damaged men from what was done at Jesuit High School. And I hate putting that out there because it happens at every high school. It's not like any one.
But if it happened, we have to bring it to the microphone. So I mean, you don't have to hate to put it out because it's out there, and we're gonna talk about it. And that's that's part of the issue, West Bank, is because we don't talk about the things that matter enough, and we like to gloss over them. We can't afford to do that. We can't afford to do it.
Yes.
Our kids deserve our protection, period. That's a full stop for me. So I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful
Absolutely.
day.
Listen, we only got about a minute left, but I'm going to tell you a quick story, Will. I was coaching at L.W. Higgins High School, and y'all could go check the records. I had a fire volleyball team, too, you know, and one of my athletes, she also ran track. And one day I came into the gym, and my girls have a routine. They know my practice go run even without me being in it because that's the kind of coach I was, right? And so I They were sitting there and they were all somber and serious. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, Coach, I can't tell you. She have to tell you. And I said, tell me what? So I made all the rest of them leave so I could talk to the young lady who was in the crisis that she was in. This is the second time in my career that this has happened to me. And she went to a track and field event that allowed them to leave the city and the state, and they were in the hotel room. And the coach at the time, one of the coaches at the time of the track team, was sending inappropriate text messages to her, propositioning her, telling her what he could do for her and how much money he could spend, and your boyfriend can't take care of you like I can, and all of those things. And so she showed me the text messages, and the first thing that I told her is, I respect you, and I respect confidence, and I appreciate you confiding in me, but I can't keep this a secret. It's my job to tell somebody, because if I don't, I can be in just as much trouble as he's going to be in. So I have to tell it. You can't expect me to keep this quiet. And she said, I understand, Coach. She was crying. She didn't know what to do, right? And I went and I reported it. And you would have thought like they had like this big old thing. They came to my job because even though I was coaching at Higgins, I was teaching at John Ehret. And the leadership from L.W. Higgins came over to John Ehret to have a conversation with me. And the person was removed from the faculty of L.W. Higgins. But guess what? He was hired at another school. And I pulled up at this particular school and I saw him. And I walked straight over to one of the administrators and I said, I don't know if you know, but this is why he's not at the last school, because the school that he was at, my son was at, and I don't play them kind of games. So either you gonna do something or I'm gonna do something. Go with your move. And that's exactly what I said. So I'm not telling you to do anything that I have not been in a position to do myself. Because if I allow a predator to be amongst children, I'm just as culpable if I know what he's done. Because if he did it there, what makes you think he won't do it here? Not on my watch, and especially not around my baby, because y'all gonna have a whole different type of situation. And I meant that. God is still working on me, Will. But please understand that I am fierce in the protection of children. So what do you think I would do to protect the one I gave birth to?
Right.
Come on now. And we all owe it to our kids to do that. Every single time. And what I said is a fact. Yeah. And see, I named the schools because it should not be a secret. Because the reason why he was able to be employed at the other school is because that school kept it a secret and didn't inform the other school. That's why it happened. And see, that could be the reason why this is happening like this. It is our duty to make, that should be in his jacket. So when he go to apply, it should come up. Absolutely not. Right?
Yeah.
No? But Will, I gave you a lead from out of the WBOK chat.
I reached out.
I think you need to follow up. Because if that allegation that I'm reading in the chat holds any kind of weight, we're going to talk about it on a microphone tomorrow. But I'm not going to talk about it until we could clear the business. Listen, it's been quite the show. I'm excited. I'm enjoying myself. And listen, y'all, next month will be 1 year on the airwaves of WBOK, so we going to celebrate. Do you understand me? This has been one of the joys of my life, being on WBOK, hosting the show. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy listening to y'all. I enjoy engaging with y'all. But I would be telling a lie if I didn't say my favorite show is up next. So y'all stay tuned up next for the Front Porch with Grilling and Kimber. As far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my niece holding it down behind the boards, and my co-host, Will Sutton. We gonna see y'all tomorrow. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
Oh.